Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the MeanGene Show here on KDWN 720 AM 101.5 FM Las Vegas. Hope you are ready for NFL Week 10 here. And I am going to, I'm not going to do it by myself because I'm going to introduce my guest here. Well, he's not really a guest. He's a good friend, but for radio purposes, we'll say he's a guest, okay? Anyway, please welcome to the show from Ballys Sports Southeast. He covers the Carolina Panthers and the Charlotte Hornets, and I got it right this time because he has fined me for saying that other word, that B word. Please welcome to the show, Dustin Phifer.
Hey, Gene, how's it going today?
It's going great, man, and look here. I wrote Charlotte Hornets in big caps. Big caps.
Hey, I appreciate you making the effort, and I know this is a football show, but I got to get on because Valley Sports Southeast also covers the Braves, and that's my team. They took out your Dodgers and won.
Oh, you had to go there. You just had to go there.
I had to throw it out there.
We're not even a minute into the show, and you ripping my Dodgers, and everyone in Las Vegas, they're Dodger fans, right? So you just hurt the entire community.
I'm not trying to create enemies or anything like that. Much respect out there, but it's been a long time coming for the Braves, so I'm glad they finally got one under their belt.
I am too, man. I am so. I mean, it was bittersweet because with the whole Hank Aaron thing, and much respect to may his soul rest in peace. You just kind of it didn't dawn on me until late into the playoffs that Atlanta is probably going to win this thing.
Yeah, it was kind of a Cinderella run where they didn't really have a great regular season, but were able to get hot towards the end, and it was great to honor Hank Aaron. And like you said, on the flip side, I feel bad for a guy like Dusty Baker, who's also a baseball lifer and been there. But it was a good baseball playoffs all around, a lot of action. So. Yeah,
it was awesome. So congratulations to the Atlanta Braves. And football is moving week 10. So we some of us complained about a 17-week schedule, and now all of a sudden here. We're looking at week 10 here with only 7 more weeks of football. Man, time flies, don't it?
It is unreal how fast the season flies when it comes to football. You look up and you think you're just getting going with the season, and you look up and you go, man, it's getting late. It's time for these teams to start making a push if they want to do what they want to do.
Yeah, so we're going to get into it. Want to remind everyone the MeanGene Show is brought to you by Presidential Limousine by Captain. It's the official limousine service of the MeanGene Show. Make your reservations now by calling 702-438-5466, or you can text them 702-410-6057. The show is also brought to you by the Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. Experience the award-winning Solar Motown, that high-energy concert-style musical tribute celebrating all your Motown legends, Smokey Robinson and Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, all that stuff. They do it all. This is a must-see show during your stay in Las Vegas. Call them for reservations, 888-796-3564. So, all right, Dustin. So we're gonna get into week 10 of the National Football League, which got underway on Thursday night between the Dolphins and the Ravens. And Dustin, just like week 9, it seemed like week 10 is already starting off to be surprising upsets.
Yeah, it's definitely the last couple of weeks, especially in the AFC. We've seen some weird results, some upsets, and I'm kind of glad you didn't have me on the show last week because a lot of my picks probably would not have went the right way with some of these upsets. But it's really hard to tell who in that AFC who's really going to take the reins. It looks like Tennessee has, even with the Derrick Henry injury. But, man, it looks like any given week now people can take somebody down. So these teams got to be on high alert and got to be ready to play no matter who they're playing.
You're right, man. I tell you, we're going to kind of get into that a little bit while we, going over these picks here. You're right about that AFC. That AFC North is interesting. That AFC West is interesting, and definitely with the Titans. And but I will say this now, Dustin. We did the first show of the year before the season even started, and there was 2 teams I told you that was on my radar. One of them was the Arizona Cardinals. The other one is the Tennessee Titans. And how ironic is it that here we are week 10, if the playoffs started today, both of those teams would be number 1 seeds in their conferences.
You are right. I got to give you a lot of props for that. Tennessee, I definitely was high on them. I thought they were going to have a good year.
Mhm.
They get off to a slow start, but then bounce back. Arizona, I knew they had talent, but I just needed to see them put it all together. And man, it looks like they're doing that. They're putting it all together and having a good season, even winning the game without Kyler Murray and
Yeah.
DeAndre Hopkins. So as long as injuries don't get in their way, Arizona's definitely setting themselves up to make a run. And my two teams I was looking for were the Rams, who are having a good
Yeah.
year,
Yeah.
making
Yeah.
big splashes, and I also was kind of high on the Patriots, and it looks like they're finally starting to play some good
Yeah.
football. So this is one of the most wide open years I think you can say as far as really who can take it all this year.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. The Titans getting it done without Derrick Henry, and the Cowboys winning a game one night without Dak. It's just the backups. What do they
And
call it?
how old is Adrian Peterson now? As he makes his return right back into
Oh
the
my
league?
goodness. Well, he didn't seem like he was old at all. He just scored a touchdown like he was just ready. Just give me the ball. He's one of those give me the ball guys, right?
Absolutely.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about the Thursday night game. It was the Ravens, who are they still in first place in the AFC North. They were in Miami playing the Dolphins. Now, me and Mr. Picks, we did a show on Podbean Live streaming the other day, and we talked about this game. So let me just quote some of his numbers here, because I believe the Ravens. What was that? It was supposed to be 46.5 was the over under on the points, and I think the Ravens were favored by what was it, like eight?
I think it was 8.5.
Yeah,
8
eight.
or 8.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, what an incredible win by the Miami Dolphins. But without getting so much into the game specifics as far as stats, but I want to talk about that game making decision that Brian Flores made by not putting Jacoby Brissett back into the game.
Yeah, it's a weird situation down there in Miami. I know that Tua has an injury with his thumb, and he's trying to come back from that. But Gene, the last 2 weeks, including going into last night, Tua's been the what they call emergency backup because they only have two QBs. But to me, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if the guy is healthy enough to be active and be the backup, then why can't he start the game?
I agree.
So it's a weird situation down there. The Tua development thing down there in Miami is very weird. They're very high on Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And yes, Tua maybe hasn't been the guy they thought he has, but I don't think Tua's been terrible, and it's only his second year. So it's very weird what's going on with that. But hey, credit to the Dolphins to still come out and play hard with the game plan to blitz Lamar Jackson a lot, to put the pressure in his face. And it just looked like they didn't have a game plan that was ready for that. And the whole night they were back on their heels, and they could not rebound. They tried to make a run late, but Miami made enough plays to hold on to a win. And for a Dolphins team who we thought were going to be better than their record, it's good to see them still show some fight and get a win against a good Ravens team.
Yeah, you're right. We definitely thought they would be better than their record. They improved to 3-7, and the Ravens are right there at 6-3 in the AFC North. So that game reminded me so much of that Dallas Cowboys Denver Broncos game last week. And man, all these first place teams, they have been put on notice. So we're going to go ahead and jump into Sunday's action and do the countdown here and try to get to the bottom of the hour, and then we'll finish it up. So let's start with the first game here on Sunday, and that's going to be the Dallas Cowboys. Speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, how about that? The Dallas Cowboys hosting the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are 4-4. The Cowboys are 6-2, set first place there in the NFC East. And Dustin, so Cowboys lose to Denver last week, 30-16, which the final score was not indicative of how the game went, because they were beating them. They was beating the brakes off of them. And then the Falcons, how about the Falcons? They go to New Orleans last week and beat the Saints. So who do you got in this one?
Man, I'll tell you what, this is going to be a very intriguing game. I mean, Matt Ryan is playing some really good football. Atlanta has finally started to bounce back and kind of play some good football and put themselves back in the mix. I believe they're in the last wild card spot now for the NFC. So a lot on the line. Dallas wants to come back. They want to bounce back from playing bad. You talked about that game. They were down 30-0. So
Yeah.
they were getting manhandled in that game at home. So this is definitely a bounce back situation. But there's a lot of stuff going on with Dallas right now that brings some concerns. I think everybody thought maybe Dallas had gotten past that point to where they were one of the elite teams. But we talk about Tyron Smith being out of left tackle. I think that's probably the biggest loss you can have on that team when you're trying to run the ball and protect Dak. Now you have Randy Gregory, who gets injured in in practice and is going to be out a couple weeks, who leads them in sacks, and they're already without DeMarcus Lawrence. So they've got a lot going against them. So I think they really need to come out and show that they can kind of handle some adversity and bounce back. I think this is going to be a very close game, probably one possession. But I'm going to take Dallas, even with all those injuries. I think this is the game they need to prove themselves to show that they're going to be in contention the whole year as not just a playoff team, but a team that can make a run. And so I expect them to come out ready to play after getting whooped at home last week.
Yeah, same here. And I got Dallas winning this game, even though, I mean, they were like the 11-point favorite last week or something over the Broncos. But I will remind folks that last year when these two teams played, this was that crazy game where the Falcons they were beating the brakes off the Cowboys, and the Cowboys came back and they did this onside kick that it was the most awkward onside kick I've ever seen. The Cowboys win the game 40-39. So I'm hoping we get something good like that Sunday. You remember that?
Absolutely, I remember that was one of the craziest games. The guy didn't want to field the onside kick. He was just sitting.
He looked at it like, because he didn't know what that ball was going to do, and it was like, what the hell did he just do with this ball? So hey, hopefully we
can expect a lot of points in this game.
I agree, and this should be a good one because the Cowboys, the Falcons rivalry there has been pretty interesting over the last couple of years. So that should be interesting. But I got the Cowboys winning this game as well and improving to 7-2. All right, the next game we have is the Jacksonville Jaguars, 2-6 at the Indianapolis Colts. So look here. You know, when I said a couple of shows ago, I didn't know. I thought that the Detroit Lions was a better winless team at the time. And at the time, Jacksonville was winless too. But to see Jacksonville with 2 wins now and a win over the Buffalo Bills, are you kidding me? 9-6 last week. And the Colts are not out of it. They're not necessarily out of it as far as making a wild card.
No, they're not. And the Colts are a team who I think have more talent than what their record shows right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've had some tough losses. Carson Wentz, again, his decision making late in games has kind of been in question. But I mean, I know Jacksonville's been playing hard. I cannot even put into words, Gene, what happened in that Jacksonville-Buffalo game where the Bills only scored 6 points. It's just, I watched the end of it, and I still couldn't believe what I was seeing with my eyes.
Exactly.
I guess, as much, and me and you have done it on this show, as much hate as we've kind of put on Urban Meyer being an NFL coach, we got to give him credit for his team playing hard against the top team last week. So good to see them show some fight, even with Trevor Lawrence banged up. But I still think the Colts, like you said, they're in this, and they know they had a tough start to the schedule, and now these are games they need to win. So I got them getting a win over the Jaguars.
Yeah, I got them getting that win too because Tennessee's on that 5-game win streak, and the Colts just really need to turn it up. They lose another game, and they could be mathematically out of this thing. So I got the Colts winning and getting to 500 on Sunday. Okay, the next game, the Cleveland Browns 5-4 at the New England Patriots 5-4. So this all of a sudden is going to be an interesting game because number one, it's an AFC matchup, even though it's not a division matchup, but it's an important game for both of these teams. And right now, if the playoffs started today, I think the Patriots are in and the Browns are not in. So who do you got in this one?
I think this is one of the more intriguing games of the week. I mean, you talk about two teams who kind of have high expectations, especially the Browns with all the talent they have coming off of last year. This is one where you're seeing two teams playing good football right now. The Browns, I really don't know how to pick them, Gene. One week I think they're playing way below their level, and then the next week they come out against the Bengals and they just look dominant. Could it be the whole thing just like last year when they were without OBJ? The Browns, for some reason, I'm not blaming it on OBJ, but for some reason, they have better chemistry and they seem to play better football on offense. And it showed this week against the Bengals. But, playing against the Patriots without Nick Chubb, without Kareem Hunt, Baker Mayfield being banged up. I think Bill Belichick, this is where his coaching is going to come into effect. He's really going to scheme and take that run game away and make Baker beat him with his arm. And I think with Baker being banged up and with the way Mac Jones is protecting the football, I watched him last week playing the Panthers, and they didn't wow anybody, but they played solid football where they protect the football, create a couple of turnovers, and win the game kind of ugly. But that's how you win it with a good defense. And I think they're going to do that this week, and I think the Patriots keep rolling and pull off a win.
Wow. So I'm trying to look at my notes from the show I did with Mr. Picks on Podbean, and I actually picked the Colts to win, so we covered that. But now in this game, I actually picked the Browns because, I know the Patriots have been playing well on a 3-game win streak there, doing great. And on the where is this game played at anyway? Is it at home? Let's see. Okay, well, it's in New England. Okay, so what are they doing on the road? What are they doing at home? I think they have a pretty decent record at home. No, actually, you know what? They're 1-4.
The home gives me. I know they haven't played well at home.
Yeah, they're 4-0. That's what I was trying to get at. They're 4-0 away. So if the game was in Cleveland, I would say they have a better chance of winning. But they're 1-4 at home.
But let's not forget they played Tampa Bay at home. They played Dallas Cowboys at home. So they played some good teams. So
okay,
I just think that defense is going to give Baker some fits. If they had Chubb, I probably would lean the other way because that's just how good Nick Chubb is. But
yeah,
that's a big loss in the run game.
Well, I'm going to go with Cleveland because I'm going to say, okay, this is the post Odell Beckham Jr. era with Cleveland. That is done. No longer does Baker Mayfield have to look downfield just to see if he's going to throw the ball or not to Odell Beckham Jr. So and then this is just a win that they need to. If they lose this game, then they could be mathematically out of the playoffs, and it's just such a critical game. Even on the road, they're let's see, look like they're 2-2 on the road. So I'm going to go with the Browns to get the win in this game. Okay, the next one we have is the Buffalo Bills 5-3 at the New York Jets 2-6. This would be an AFC East matchup there. Jets at the bottom there of the standings in that division. So who do you got here, Dustin?
I'll just say this, Gene. First of all, I think the Jets, not saying he's their quarterback of the future because they obviously have Zach Wilson, but Mike White has been playing some really good football since he's been the starting quarterback. And he got injured in that Colts game on Thursday night last week. And I think if he would have stayed out there, they could have gave the Colts a run for their money. So he's starting this week, and I think he could really, make it a close game for about 3 quarters. But I'm going to say this, Gene, if somehow the Bills lose to the Jaguars and the Jets in back-to-back weeks,
man,
as what is considered one of the probably 3 favorite Super Bowl contending teams in the league, that would be an embarrassment. So I just don't see how Josh Allen and that offense and McDermott and that coaching staff, after scoring 6 points last week, do not come out and get a win. So
I agree. I'm with you on that one. I got Buffalo winning this game too, and it's just crazy. I don't know if it's almost like the halfway point of the season, and maybe teams are hitting the wall now, knowing that, it's 17 weeks. But, man, because the season is so long, Dustin, teams that didn't have a chance, from the beginning now, they have a chance. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I absolutely agree. And we'll touch on that probably a little bit with the Panthers that I cover. I think that's why they made some of the moves they made, even though they're not in a playoff spot right now. When you have that extra game and everything is jumbled up like it is in both sides of the conferences, I think teams know that they still got some time to make a run.
Yeah, I agree. The next game, the Detroit Lions 0-8 at the Pittsburgh Steelers 5-3. The Detroit Lions are coming off a bye. The last time they played, they were annihilated by the Philadelphia Eagles 44-6. Steelers coming. It's a short week for the Steelers. They played Monday night, beat the Bears 29-27. Dustin, you know what? So Mr. Picks fell out of his chair probably yesterday when I made this pick here, and
oh boy,
I look here. Yeah, I really like Dan Campbell. Of course, I love the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? But Dan Campbell is just one of my favorite coaches there in the league right now, and I have picked them for 8 weeks, right? Last week I was not wrong because they didn't play, and I didn't have to be embarrassed. But the Pittsburgh Steelers, because I have followed this team for so many years, and they, and I could be wrong, and I want to be wrong, but man, they tend to lay down against teams that they should just beat, and I'm just worried that the Lions coming off this bye had plenty of time to scout the Steelers. I'm picking the big upset. The Detroit Lions will beat the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Well, I'm not actually going to laugh at you because if I go back to that Eagles game where the Lions got annihilated, I actually had picked the Lions to win that game because of what you said, because of Dan Campbell, because of how hard his team plays. They have been close in a lot of games. So I thought they were due to get a win, and then they get blown out by the Eagles. But I definitely could see them off a bye week coming in and playing close. I will have to say, Gene, and I'm not trying to hate on your team, But I truly think, I watched that game that the Steelers had last week.
Yeah.
I truly think they are one of the worst 5-3 football teams that I've ever watched, and I truly don't know how they're 5-3. With everything they got going on. I mean, it's just their offense. Najee Harris is playing some great football.
Right.
I'll give him that.
Right.
The rookie is really playing well, but they have a defense that keeps them in games. But that offense just doesn't scare anybody. And I just don't. They're right there in the thick of things, and obviously they can make a run. But I still just don't have that belief in them yet. But again, I guess this is the luck of your Steelers, Gene. They're 5-3, and they're still kind of on the edge. But who do they get? A winless football team. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of lucky, and I'm going to take the Steelers to maybe win an ugly game, like you said, 6-3, and they'll be right there.
They'll be tied with the Ravens for first place there in the AFC North. Well, I'm going to tell you why they're 5-3. They've won 4 games in a row because of their defense. I mean, T.J. Watt is a beast, and I knew last week that he was licking his chops, knowing that he was going to be up against a rookie quarterback, and it showed. I mean, you can expect. Just like a good movie that's advertised, you go see it. Hey, it's a good movie. Well, T.J. Watt is a good movie. You can get your popcorn, you sit there, and I agree with you. The Steelers' offense, they are struggling to move the ball, and I think they're trying to be conservative with Ben. I know he has toned it down with the turnovers.
Now let's admit, Gene. I mean, Fields did play pretty well in the end of that
game.
He
did. He did. Now
that taunting call. Really kind of helped the Steelers out there late. Was it the right rule? Maybe. Was it still like if people don't like the rule? It's hard to say, but it's hard to see games decided on.
Yeah, it is, and I like I said yesterday, every NFL team or fan benefits from either the good call or the bad call.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So it just happened to go the Steelers' way. No, it was just crazy. It was a crazy game, and you know what? And still. They almost lost. I mean, had that field goal went in, the Steelers would have been 5-4.
Yeah,
so
I'll end it with this about the Steelers: if somehow they find a way to win this division with a Browns team who people thought was a Super Bowl contender, with a Ravens team who people think Lamar Jackson's the MVP candidate, if they somehow find a way to win the division. I don't see how Mike Tomlin is not the runaway coach of the year because, yes, you got Cliff Kingsbury over there for the Cardinals and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But to do that in this division with a Ben who we all know is not the Ben of old and with an offensive line that struggles, I mean, I don't see how he doesn't win coach of the year.
I think we can get one more in here before the bottom of the hour. Let's go with the New Orleans Saints 5-3 at the Tennessee Titans 7-2. Titans, oh, my goodness, have won 5 in a row. They are getting it done. They're undefeated in their division, 4-1 on the road, 3-1 at home. This game just happened to be in Nashville. And last week, the Titans go to L.A. and beat the Rams 28-16, I think. And then the Saints lose to the Falcons in a shocker, 27-25. So who you got, Dustin?
Well, I did not see that coming for the Titans to go to Los Angeles without Derrick Henry, the first game without him, and put on that performance. Because I'm very high on the Rams, and we'll talk about that when we get to them. But what a performance to go out there without your star player. I think they wanted to make a statement to show, yes, Henry is our guy, but we have enough on this team to still be one of the top teams in the AFC. And man, did that defense put on a performance. So props to Mike Vrabel and props to that team. And I think they're going to keep rolling. It sounds like Kamara's probably not going to play for the Saints. Right now they're going with Trevor Siemian. Maybe Taysom Hill gets thrown in there when he gets back. And the Saints have done a great job, handling all the adversity. But I think it's going to catch up to him eventually. Siemian, yes, he's a decent backup, but eventually he's a backup. And I think, that's going to cause them some problems going forward, especially with no Michael Thomas for the year and now Kamara banged up. So I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans to keep rolling.
Yeah, same here. I got the Titans. All right, folks, we are at the bottom of the hour, and we are going to continue our countdown here in the next after the break. So you are listening to the MeanGene Show here on KDWN 720 AM, 101.5 FM, Las Vegas. 1.5 FM, Las Vegas.
KDWN.
All right, folks, we are back. Once again, you're listening to the MeanGene Show here on KDWN 720 AM, 101.5 FM, Las Vegas. We are doing the countdown, Week 10 of the National Football League here with my guest today from Ballys Sports Southeast. That would be Dustin Phifer joining me here on the MeanGene Show. All right, let's jump into the remaining games there. And you know what? I think I failed to mention, and let's do this before we even start here, the teams that have a bye this week. So you're getting a Week 10 bye. That's almost pretty good for some teams. And some of these teams really need that bye. And we're talking about the Chicago Bears, they're on a bye. The Cincinnati Bengals on a bye. The New York Giants on a bye. And the Houston Texans are on a bye-bye. You get it? I had to throw that in there, Dustin.
I got you. I like that. I like that.
I didn't get a rim shot there, but anyway, the Texans, I don't know. They should just fold it and not even come back for the second half of the season. Nobody would even notice. But anyway, there are some Texans fans out there, and they are on a bye this week as well. All right, let's go with the next game here. I knew they would be coming up here because we haven't talked about them. They were on a bye last week. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers 6-2 at the Washington Football Team 2-6. Man, I don't know. It seems like the Washington Football Team is just kind of out of it. I really expected them to be much better than their record at 2-6. They're coming off a bye. They lost to Denver a week before the bye, week 8. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they lose to the Saints, man. And that was a crazy game without Jameis Winston. So who you got here?
Yeah, both of those teams, talking about Washington, they definitely have surprised me. I thought they would be better this year. I know they had a quarterback go down in Fitzpatrick, but when you have a defense like that, and I'm very well aware of Ron Rivera and him being a defensive coach with his days in Carolina, I thought even with a backup quarterback out there, that defense should have been one of the best defenses in the league to still keep them in ball games. And that defense is underperformed, and it just hasn't stepped up to it, and it just doesn't seem like their year. So, and I'm also surprised by Tampa Bay's performance last week in New Orleans. A couple of picks by Tom Brady that were bad picks. I mean, they were right to the other team. Something about New Orleans, they have his number in the regular season, where they've got him a couple times now. Obviously, I think Tampa Bay bounces back this week. Brady, besides that game, was like on a historic pace to have one of his better seasons, which is just mind blowing. So I expect him to jump back on and probably throw 4 or 5 touchdowns, and they bounce back this week.
I like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this game also. All right, the next game here, the Carolina Panthers 4-5 at the Arizona Cardinals 8-1. And Dustin, before we even get started, tell us about Cam Newton.
Man, let me tell you, Gene, you wake up this morning, I was trying to think if it's 2021, 2015, I don't know. But I can tell you, coming from a guy, you know me, I've covered the team for over a decade now, so I was there for all of Cam's time here in Carolina. Always had great interaction with him. We all know he's a polarizing guy when it comes to the media and comes to how he acts. But I've always had good interactions with him. He's always been good with the community. And I can tell you that right now, the way this Panthers team was going, with the way Darnold was playing, with the way this team was playing after a 3-0 start, they've lost 5 of 6. And it's been ugly football. And the fans have just been very disappointed. Almost kind of had that attitude where they really didn't care. And when you get to that point, that's really worse than being mad. And so they needed something to rejuvenate this franchise and rejuvenate this season. And everybody's saying, well, this is just, throwing stuff to the wall and see if it sticks. But, when you look at their situation, Darnold's out 5 or 6 weeks. You have a backup who has only really played in the XFL. So really their best option, if you look around the league, is Cam Newton. And I think it makes perfect sense. Does it mean that it's going to work and they're going to make a playoff run? Absolutely not. We'll have to wait and see how Cam Newton looks after not playing football for 3 months. But I'd rather bring somebody home who kind of, had a bad exit. It didn't exit the way he probably wanted to, and the fans were kind of unhappy with how he got, shipped out. So now they have a chance to right that wrong. Bring him back, bring some nostalgia back, get some fans back in the seats. And at least if it does go sideways, we can have a guy who is probably the best player in Panthers history to come back and see what he's got left and make it entertaining for this push run.
Yeah, I agree. I tell you, man, when I heard the news the other day, I was shocked and I was pleased. The fact that he, when he left Carolina, that was shocking as well. But to see that, okay, and then the money that the appreciation that they showed him is in the salary that he's going to get, which is what quadruple what the New England Patriots was paying him. So he's getting some decent money coming in, and I'm almost certain he's going to be starting. Am I correct?
Yeah, he will definitely be starting as soon as he's ready to play.
Right.
Everybody was wondering if he'd come in and be the backup and then maybe come in. But if you see that type of money, I knew if they're going to sign Cam Newton, they're going to sign him to start, not just sit on the bench. So
yeah,
I knew that was the case. That the money he got, $4.5 million guaranteed. He got $1.5 million roster bonus, and it's up to $10 million if he hits some incentives. So they definitely paid the right price for him. And they said when they let him go back in the day that it was because of health and his shoulder.
Yeah.
Saw that when he went to other places. Well, now he hasn't played football in 3 months, and he's had a chance, and he says he's as healthy as he could possibly be. So he's going to come in healthy and have the chance to really see what he can do. Is he the Superman Cam Newton back in the Carolina days? No, he's not. But is he a good enough quarterback to still be a starter in this league? He absolutely is. And he'll have some of the best weapons he's had since early back in the Carolina days, and probably even better than that when you talk about Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and Robbie Anderson. So they're going to give him the offensive line is still shaky, but he's going to have a chance, to play decent football. And I said this earlier, Gene. The Panthers have a top 10 defense in this league right now. They're ranked 7th. All they need is a quarterback to go out there and handle the game, not turn the ball over, and just manage it and win some low-scoring games. And I think that's what Cam can do with his legs and with Christian McCaffrey out there on the field.
Yeah, and I'm sitting up here looking at the stats in the NFC South, and I didn't realize that the Panthers are actually undefeated in the division. So
yes, they are. So and if you look at it, they're 4-5, which doesn't look great.
Right.
But, the last wild card spot is 4-4 with the Falcons, so they're only half a game out of that wild card spot. So they're right there to make a push. Obviously, they play Arizona this week. I don't think Cam is going to start this week just because of a short turnaround.
Okay.
But guess when his first game, Gene, will be at home against Ron Rivera and the Washington.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know how you write that up, Gene.
Oh, my goodness.
On the secondary market have already doubled here in Carolina. So
wow.
All ready to go. They're excited to have Cam back, and it's going to be electric next Sunday at Bank of America Stadium. And after the Cardinals game here, they have Washington, they have the Falcons, and they have a couple of other teams that have losing records. So they have a chance to go on a run if they can play.
Yeah, and like in that division, man, woohoo! They don't let Tampa and the Saints flounder there, and man, it could be interesting there with that division record. So, how about the Cardinals now, man? I tell you, this team here, and me and Mr. Picks talked about this yesterday. James Conner, oh my goodness, 173 scrimmage yards last week against the 49ers. And 96 rushing, 77 receiving, 3 touchdowns, a career high. And, oh, my goodness, it's just amazing to see how, he just wasn't a good fit for the Steelers. That's what I would say. No knock on James Conner. James Conner is a great guy. He just was not a good fit for the Steelers. But it is so good to see this guy thriving down there with the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's good to see. I'm happy for him. All he's gone through in his, college days in his career. And he kind of, was injured a lot in Pittsburgh, and then he didn't fit in when he did come back. He had one good year, and then it just didn't work. So good to see him bounce back. And he, you think about it. He made all those plays last week without Kyler Murray, without Anthony Hopkins. So a lot of the focus was going to be on him, and he still was able to make those plays. So it's good to see.
Yeah, great stuff here. So I got the Cardinals winning, though.
Yeah, I have the Cardinals as well, just because, I don't think Cam's playing. And if he does play, it's hard to sign somebody on Thursday.
Yeah.
And then have him, ready to go on a Sunday and play well. So, PJ Walker will start. He's got some mobility and shown some flashes, but again, he's only really got XFL experience. So I don't even know if Kyler Murray's going to play this week. He's missing practice,
yeah.
But even if he doesn't, we've seen that the Cardinals can still play good defense.
Yeah.
So I still think they beat the Panthers, and then I think the Panthers really prepare to get Cam out there next week against Washington, and that's really when their push is going to come. And again, will it work? I don't know, Gene. Obviously it's going to be tough for a guy to come in this late in the season and maybe make a good run like that. But I would much rather have somebody entertaining and somebody we know who's done a lot for this franchise like Cam trying to do it instead of just knowing there's absolutely no hope at all. So.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to Cam Newton joining the Panthers, and that's going to be great to see how things turn out. Okay, the next game we have is the Minnesota Vikings 3-5 at the Los Angeles Chargers 5-3. Chargers beat Philadelphia last week 27-24. The Vikings lose in overtime to the Baltimore Ravens 34-31. I like the Chargers in this game because it's almost a must-win for them if you're looking at that AFC West.
Yeah, I like the Chargers as well. Vikings have lost some close games, and they're playing hard, so give them credit. But I like the Chargers to get a win here. They're 5-3, so they've got a decent record, but they haven't shown me kind of the explosion I was expecting from them throughout this season. So I think it's still there. But as long as you keep winning and then you get on that hot run, then you can make a run. Justin Herbert's still playing well, but I got the Chargers to get a win because they want to keep pace with those other teams.
Yeah, they have to because only one game separates every team in the AFC West. The Broncos are 5-4, Chiefs 5-4, Raiders 5-3, and so I mean this is probably going to be separation Sunday in the AFC West, and the Chargers definitely need to try to stay ahead. They end the season in Las Vegas playing the Raiders. I think January. I'm supposed to be at that game, so that's going to be interesting. But yeah, I got the Chargers winning on Sunday. The next game we have, speaking of those Broncos, the Philadelphia Eagles 3-6 at the Denver Broncos 5-4. Denver, I tell you, man, I would have loved to have been on that plane flying back to Denver after beating the Cowboys. That had to be the party plane, Dustin.
Oh, absolutely. And you think about it, you go on the road and you dominate a team after trading your best defensive player.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for them to bounce back like that, I know Vic Fangio hasn't had a lot of good years out there in Denver, but that's a great win. Like you said, it puts them over 500. It puts them right there in the mix. I'm not a huge Teddy Bridgewater guy as far as a guy who can actually lead a team to the playoffs. I think he's a good, serviceable QB. I mean, I've seen him here in Carolina, but props to what they're doing. And they get a chance to come back home after a big win. So it could be a letdown situation after having a big win like that. But I think at home, they're like you said, it's separation Sunday, and they know the pressure of losing one game at home like that and what it will cause. So I think they beat Philadelphia to stay on track.
Yeah, I got the Broncos winning too, although I will say, the Philadelphia Eagles are the closest team to the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East. So, Dallas is 6-2, Eagles are 3-6, and lots of football left to play. And that's why, all of these games, every scheduled game from here on out is important, believe me, in the National Football League. So I got the Broncos, getting to 6-4 and just making that whole AFC thing interesting, man. It may or may not be separation Sunday. It might just stay the same going into week 11. But
even though I was giving Teddy Bridgewater a hard time, when you run for almost 200 yards on the ground, your quarterback doesn't have to do a lot, and that's what they did against Dallas. And they've got Melvin Gordon and Williams, the rookie from North Carolina, and so they've got a nice two-headed monster there in the backfield where they can just run the ball and play defense, and that's always been a recipe for success for Denver for a long time.
The next game, and I believe, is that the late afternoon game? Yes, that's one of your afternoon, the late games there in the afternoon. The next game, Seattle Seahawks 3-5 at the Green Bay Packers 7-2. Wow. Do we have
storylines galore?
What'd you say?
Storylines galore.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I don't even know where to begin with the story because well, let's start with Seattle because I think Russell Wilson has been cleared to play.
He's been cleared to play, and I don't know the specific timeline, but I think I heard on TV this morning that he's healed up from that bone in 3 weeks. So he's got some magic healing power, and maybe like you said, he knows, Gene, that what we said about every game being important. They're 3-5. They're only one game behind the wild card spot, and he doesn't want to slip back any further. So he needs to be back as soon as possible. So it's a huge boost for Seattle to get him back.
Yeah, it is, and they're coming off a bye. They win over Jacksonville 31-7 back in Week 8, and then we look at the Green Bay Packers. They lose to the Kansas City Chiefs 13-7 last week. This was without Aaron Rodgers. Jordan Love was the quarterback there and just had a horrible outing there. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Aaron Rodgers should be playing. Am I right, Dustin?
He should be playing. I think they said there's a very, very small chance that somehow he doesn't get cleared. Obviously, with him not being vaccinated, we've got to have a certain amount of positive tests and things like that. But everything that I've read, even up to this morning or saw, is that he is on track to play. So you're going to have Rodgers and Wilson going back at it. And listen, last week, I know it didn't look good for Jordan Love, but I thought he did battle, so I do have to give him some credit there. He gave his team a chance at the end. And this may go more against the Kansas City Chiefs, Gene, but I think if Aaron Rodgers plays in that game against the Chiefs lose by at least 2 touchdowns.
I agree. I really do. I agree. And you never know what Kansas City Chiefs teams you're going to get here, and we're going to be talking about them here in a minute because I think they got the Sunday night game. You never know what team you're going to get with the Chiefs, and I agree. I think if Aaron Rodgers had played, they certainly would have won the game, and you cannot count out the Green Bay Packers. And it seems like every time Aaron Rodgers goes through some adversity there, he comes back with some sort of vengeance. Now, he brought this one on himself, but I would.
So let's assume that Russell's going to play and Aaron's going to play.
Oh my goodness! You know what? I got to make a pick here, don't I?
You do?
Yeah, I got the Packers. I got the Packers winning. I got the Packers winning.
Yeah, and I'm going to agree with you because with what you just said. And this is a big game for both teams. Like I said, Seattle's trying to fight to get back in that playoff hunt, and then Green Bay, they still have aspirations for the number 1 seed to get that bye. So there's a lot on the line. And yes, you may say, okay, Aaron Rodgers hasn't practiced in 2 weeks, so who knows how he'll be? But it's Aaron Rodgers, and what you said, I know he brought this on himself. But no matter what it is, even if he did bring it on himself, when he gets any type of criticism, he and I think he would fully admit this. He's a petty guy, and he is. And I think he's going to use this as fuel, even though this was, I fully admit, his fault for what he did. Yeah. He should be held accountable, but he's going to use this as fuel, and I think he's going to come out at home and he's just going to put on a show because that's going to be that prime time spot. That late afternoon game.
It is.
So I got the Packers winning at home.
Yeah, I got the Packers winning, and I'm looking over my notes. I'm glad I did because on yesterday's show, I actually picked Seattle, but that was assuming that Rodgers wouldn't play. Yeah. But then again, now, just like we said about Aaron Rodgers with Russell, I think I picked him because I figured Russell Wilson was going to be feeling the same. This guy's been cringing there, trying to, he wants to play. And so I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I do have to give some props to the Packers defense. They've gotten better.
Yeah, they have. They really have.
And so I think that could be the difference. They make a play here or there. And then obviously Aaron Rodgers is going to make some plays. And I think they're going to get the win at home because they lost that game last week, which really kind of puts them right there of whether they're not going to get that number 1 seed or not. They're going to lose more ground, so I think they're going to get a win at home.
The Kansas City Chiefs 5-4 at the Las Vegas Raiders 5-3. Earlier, a couple of weeks ago, the Chiefs looked like they were just going to go and be dead for the rest of the season. They have bounced back all of a sudden. They beat Green Bay last week 13-7. The Raiders, I tell you, man. It's tough being in Las Vegas these days. I mean, I've never seen a team hit with so much craziness. I mean, there's no way that anyone could have predicted that you would lose your head coach, you would lose one of your star receivers, and then you lose a cornerback, and it's just back-to-back things that are impacting the Raiders. And here's the fourth thing, and now the Chiefs come to town,
I mean, it's a lot going on for the Raiders right now. I will give a lot of props to Carr for his leadership on the team. Yeah, really keeping the team together. The interim coach has stepped in. You got to give them props for still, with all this going on, they're still right there in the thick of it. And this should be an intriguing game because I actually disagree with you, Gene. I still think the Kansas City Chiefs are dead. Even though they're winning these close games, they have not showed me anything to show that they're going to be a team that can make a run in the playoffs. And I thought I would never say that with a Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes team. Yeah. And again, it may come down the road and they may flip the switch because that's who they are. But like you said, we're running out of time to flip the switch. And these games, they're winning 13-7 against backup quarterbacks, and you barely beat Daniel Jones and the Chiefs at home on a Monday Night Football game. I just don't see it in them right now. And until they show me that they can get back to playing the way they used to play, I'm not going to believe in them. So I'm taking the Raiders at home to get a big win. The Raiders had a tough loss against the Giants. I think it's going to fuel them to come home. And I think that they're going to really want to perform well back in front of their home fans and kind of keep those Chiefs down because you don't want to light them on fire and have them go on that run. You want to keep them playing this way, keep them in this mindset. So I got the Raiders to get a big win at home.
I picked the Chiefs to win, and the reason why I picked the Chiefs to win was because looking at the AFC West, where we had just mentioned earlier, only one game separate these teams, realizing on Sunday, if the Chargers lose, the Raiders lose, and the Broncos lose, the Chiefs would be in first place, basically. And it would be the craziest thing ever. So they're on a 2-game win streak. They got some momentum going there. But, looking at the Las Vegas Raiders, I tell you what, man, they have pretty much handled everything that have come their way there. I know they didn't get the win last week versus the Giants. That scared me right there because I'm like, wow, that was, and so I'm, and now after dealing with the Arnett story there, they have every reason to bounce back and just do exactly what you said. Just, kind of manhandle the Chiefs and basically almost be in sole possession there where they would be tied with the Chargers, but they get a date with the Chargers in January and they could still win that division. But I'm sorry, Vegas. I got the Chiefs and, I'm going to have to hide when I'm in Vegas. I'm going to have to hide somewhere. But I'll be pulling for the Raiders in this game. But I just think the Chiefs.
It should be a very good game. I just think the Raiders are going to score enough points because the Chiefs' defense is just not that good. Mm-hmm. And if the Raiders can score some points and get a lead and then put the pressure on Mahomes, as good as Mahomes is, and he can make most every throw or every play. He tries to make a lot of those home run plays that can result in turnovers. So the Raiders can get that lead and force him to feel like he needs to make those home run plays. I think they can get some turnovers and win the game. So I think it will be a close one, though, but it should be an entertaining game on a Sunday night.
Okay, and this brings us down to the final game here, and that's the Monday night game between the Los Angeles Rams, 7-2, at the San Francisco 49ers, 3-5. I have the Rams winning. Both teams lose, though, last week. The 49ers lose to the Cardinals, and then the Rams lose to the Tennessee Titans. But I think Stafford and the guys, they just picked up Odell Beckham Jr., by the way, not to mention Von Miller. So I got the Rams winning on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out who they're going to sign next. I mean, this is just they may call some people out of retirement to come play. I mean, they have got a stacked roster. It goes back to kind of one of those dream team situations, almost like the Eagles had back in the day, and the Eagles didn't get it done. So we'll see if it works out. As you know from being on the show, I've had the Rams in the Super Bowl from day one.
Yeah, you did.
Chance to win it. And I think this is going to put them over the top, more so Von Miller than the OBJ move. To where I still think that I have them winning the Super Bowl. So I got them winning this game. The 49ers are a train wreck. They just need to go ahead and put Trey Lance in and let him play and let him develop. I've got some 49ers friends here who are very upset with how things are going. They're kind of wasting a prime defense. So they've got a lot of issues. So I got the Rams winning, bouncing back after a loss. And I don't think OBJ will play. If he does, it'll only be a few snaps probably. But if he can't come in here and make it work, he's not going to be a number one guy. But all the attention is going to be on Cooper Kupp, who's setting records, and Robert Woods. So he should get his chances to make some big catches. Maybe not huge numbers, but big catches. So this is his chance to prove it on a winning team and try to go win a Super Bowl.
All right. Hey, I agree with you. I got the Rams winning this game here and continuing to hold it down there. And I think they get another date with the Cardinals there. So we'll see how things shape up in that division as well as the NFC conference. So, all right, folks, this is going to wrap it up for Week 10 of the National Football League. Dustin Phifer has been joining me for the Week 10 countdown from Ballys Sports Southeast over there. And Dustin, man, as always, thanks for coming on.
I appreciate you having me, Gene. Looking forward to doing it again next time.
All right, folks. Hey, enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy your Week 10. We'll see you back here next week on the MeanGene Show, KDWN, 720 AM, 101.5 FM, Las Vegas.